We've got models, as I mentioned, from Bloomberg Economics showing a recession likely in the second half of next year. To Anne-Marie's point, a rising unemployment rate would point us that way, and the data might show some signs already. That would coincide with election season for Joe Biden.
These numbers are starting to head in the wrong direction from a political viewpoint. We are seeing now a slower pace of job creation. Some of it, of course, did reflect the auto workers' strike, but even when you net that out and when you consider revisions previous months, the economy is creating less jobs than it did. The headline unemployment rate, as you mentioned earlier, almost at a 2-year high. Government spending actually was a big part of the job creation list. Now, it's not falling off a cliff, but it lends itself to the idea that the economy is slowing. We had data this week saying consumer confidence is weakening. We had very weak data on the manufacturing sector as well. And, of course, we had the Fed out saying they're probably maybe at the very least going to be very careful about raising interest rates again. It all adds up to a slowing economy. A recession, of course, is a different call.
If it is a slowing economy, isn't this exactly what the Fed wants? But how can they make sure that their unemployment rate doesn't go too high and inflation is still not being brought down?
Well, this is a big challenge. So I had several notes in my inbox today. I think I counted 4, calling it a Goldilocks economy. So things are coming down at a nice glide path. That's all fine. But to your point, Anne-Marie, if inflation doesn't keep coming off the way it should, and we get into maybe early next year and the Fed are faced with slowing growth but still sticky inflation, they have to raise rates, that's not a good mix for anyone.
Julie, fine. We were talking earlier with our Republican analyst, Rick Davis, who says pay less attention to the political polls out there and more to, say, consumer sentiment from the University of Michigan, which is pointing lower. Data like we saw today, add gas prices. And this is more a story about the way people feel sometimes than what these numbers are showing. What do you think?
I think if people are feeling like they're paying more for gas prices, like grocery prices are not going down or not going down enough, they're not going to look at the specific job reports. They're going to look at their own pocketbook and their own checkbook. So I think when you see these type of numbers and you see what you're feeling when you personally are spending, you're going to be concerned about the economy, and that may be reflected at the ballot box.
And when you look at potentially next year, Julie's talking about the ballot box, is there a chance that the Fed could actually cut ahead of the election? And wouldn't that give the economy a little bit of momentum and help this administration?
There seems to be some chance. The traders today, the market people started to bet that the Fed could be cutting by mid-year. That would be quite a turnaround. But of course, if they are cutting, it suggests the economy is slowing. And if the economy is slowing, that's probably not great for the politicians who want to be championing what they've done for growth and jobs over the past few years. So, as I say, we're not in recession territory yet. We're on its glide path. But you'd have to say net the economy is slowing, and that will pressure the political story that the White House wants next year.
This is all happening, of course, against the backdrop of a big conversation on how to fund our government here in Washington. And, you know, the idea of a shutdown coinciding with a slowing economy doesn't make people feel very comfortable. Anne-Marie, one of the ideas we talked about yesterday was a laddered CR, a continuing resolution that Speaker Mike Johnson seems to think is a good idea. The idea would be that different agencies shut down at different times. That's about as far as we've gotten. The House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries addressed that earlier today.
This notion of a so-called laddered CR, like the novelty, being delicate with my words here, the novelty of my friends on the other side of the aisle in terms of how they come up with language that disguise their intentions. Translation, they want to shut the government down.
They want to shut it down, Julie Fine. That's just 2 weeks from now. Is he right?
I don't know if they want to shut it down. I think, you know, as we saw before, it goes back and forth so much. But I think there's always this question in your mind of when you get to that shutdown, how it affects everything moving forward and how it affects, again, you got to look at it like you're in an election year. And the sentiment will continue to be, okay, you didn't shut it down, but you partially shut it down. When is Congress going to get this done? So I think, again, I think they may come to the edge, and we're not exactly sure how a new Republican speaker will handle this. But I think one thing that's fairly certain is people get very frustrated when this continues to happen over and over.
Julie, what do you make of the fact, though, that now Speaker Johnson is calling for a laddered CR, which, I mean, Hakeem Jeffries there seemed confused at what this even meant. But at the same time, he's actually first said that he would have a CR in January or in April. Is he just trying to maybe shore up more support within the Republican Party? Because it feels like every day he's almost changing his tune.
Well, I think this is what happens when you have different factions within a party that you're trying to appease in order to get everything done. This is not a new phenomenon. Look at Kevin McCarthy. So now I think the reality of this job really may be setting in. Yes, he had support from the Freedom Caucus. Now he has to keep everybody happy. That includes the moderates. That's what I think's happening.